Out of all the teams in the NBA, no team was more ready for this season to start than the Memphis Grizzlies. Because we look at the Memphis Grizzlies over the last 5 years, this is an organization that has found a really good rhythm with Ja Morant and building a team around Ja Morant. And also Jaren Jackson Jr., who's another big cornerstone in this franchise. But last year, we all know what transpired with Ja Morant in the Memphis Grizzlies, him serving his suspension, him serving his injury. They had to take a step back in that team success category because they weren't able to get into the postseason. And they all know if they do have their best player, Ja Morant, they would definitely be there. So we fast forward to this season. Ja Morant, he's back with the team. He's back practicing. He's back participating in team activities. He's playing in games. And when that's happening for the Memphis Grizzlies, it gives this team a whole different energy. It gives them a whole different swagger. And it's definitely been showing up on the basketball court this season. As the Memphis Grizzlies, they've been one of the best teams in all of the NBA. They currently have a record of 20-9, which is good enough for second place in the Western Conference. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and when we look at the Memphis Grizzlies over their last 10 games, they have a record of 8-2, and if we look at them over their last 14 games, they have a record of 12-2. So they've won 12 out of their last 14, and they've also won 8 out of their last 10. So they've been playing some great basketball over an extended amount of time, and it's really made me to say that out of all the years in the Memphis Grizzlies franchise, I don't think we've never seen the team look this dangerous. And I have a couple different reasons for saying that, because the Memphis Grizzlies, they're really good on so many different facets. And what I like about this Memphis Grizzlies is sometimes we see NBA organizations, they'll take a page from previously successful teams in the organization. And the Memphis Grizzlies, one thing that some of their successful teams were known for, when they had Zach Randolph, when they had Mike Conley, when they had Tony Allen, when they had these guys on the team, one of their biggest identities was their toughness on the defensive side of the ball, their physicality, the way they hit the boards. And when I look at the current Memphis Grizzlies, I think they definitely, and even dating back before this season, we go look at the Memphis Grizzlies, we evaluate them over the last total 4 or 5 years. I think they've definitely contained that same grit, that same physicality that those previous Memphis Grizzlies teams have. So the Memphis Grizzlies, they have that going for them, and what makes them so special and so unique in my eyes is that they have that same identity on the defensive side of the ball. They love to be that physical, but they're so special on the offensive side of the ball. And we look at the Memphis Grizzlies so far this year, they've been good enough to where they're one of the few teams that's both top 5 in offensive and defensive rating. They're 5th in the NBA in offensive rating, and they're 4th in the NBA in defensive rating. And when it comes to points per game, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're number 1 in the league at 123 points per game, which is very crazy. And then also they're the fastest playing team in the NBA as well. So that's why when I look at the Memphis Grizzlies, that's why I think they're the most dangerous. This team right here is the most dangerous team that we've seen so far in the franchise, because they're able to dominate both offensively and defensively, having that gritty identity, but also being an explosive and a fun team to watch on the offensive side of the ball is something that's truly unique. And another stat to add to that, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're amongst the NBA's best when it comes to rebounds per game. They rank 2nd in the league when it comes to total rebounds per game, and they also rank 8th in the NBA when it comes to offensive rebounds per game. So that just goes back to what we were saying earlier, how the Memphis Grizzlies, how they were able to take something from the previous identity of a team that was successful before them, and then add it to their own identity and make it special in their own unique way. And the way that the Memphis Grizzlies are doing that is how explosive that they are on the offensive side of the ball, while still being one of the more grittier and more physical teams in the NBA. And this has been led to the Memphis Grizzlies dominating. We look at them on the entire season when it comes to net rating. They ranked 4th in the NBA with a net rating of 9 points per game. There's 3 teams currently above them: the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and also the Oklahoma City Thunder. And when we look at the Memphis Grizzlies over there, we look at their last 4 wins out of their last 5 games. They're winning by an average margin of 27 points per game. We know one of them games, one of them games was the crazy game against the Golden State Warriors where they absolutely destroyed the Golden State Warriors. You look at that box score, you go look at it, and it was a very, very frightening night for the Golden State Warriors. Stephen Curry, I think he just had 2 free throws on the night, no field goals, and and Draymond Green had 0 points, zero rebounds, and 0 assists, and he played 19 minutes that game, and it was just a nightmare of a night for the Golden State Warriors, and that was due to the Memphis Grizzlies. And then in their most recent win against the Atlanta Hawks, another blowout victory without Ja Morant being out on the basketball court. And it's really simple on how the Memphis Grizzlies have been able to dominate in this fashion so far this season. They are a very deep team. They have some of the best depth in all of the NBA, and they're also one of the most versatile teams in all of the NBA. And we look at them from a depth standpoint. Now, I was just reading an article. The Memphis Grizzlies, they've had 14 games this season, or they have 14 players on their roster that have played in at least 14 games so far this season. And also they lead the NBA and bench points per game, and they also have the best bench net rating in the NBA. Their bench are winning the point differential by +5 points. So they have a really good bench unit, and we look to the Memphis Grizzlies, and they're really so solid in their backcourt, and they're really solid in their front court as well. We look at some of those backcourt players. Of course, Ja Morant, one of the best players in all of the NBA. Desmond Bane, one of the best three-point shooters in all of the NBA, but he's so much more than that on the offensive side of the ball. He's gotten so much better with his shot creation, with his ability to create for others, and also his ability to get downhill and finish around the rim. He is a legit scorer in the NBA, and he plays really well, and he fits really well alongside Ja Morant. And then also we look to the bench and we look at some of the valuable guards on this team. You have Marcus Smart, who is a defensive player of the year, and he really hasn't gotten to the full swing of things so far this season. He has things that's keeping him in and out of the lineup, but he has been available for the most part for the Memphis Grizzlies. Well, not for the most part, but a good chunk of time so far this season for the Memphis Grizzlies. But he brings veteran leadership to this team. He's a lockdown defender. He has the type of defense that can really disrupt the opposing teams, what they're trying to do on the offensive side of the ball, and he's a three-point shooter that can get hot at any given moment. So they have Marcus Smart coming off the bench for right now, and then also they have Scottie Pippen Jr., who has been a really steady hand for this team so far this season. Ja Morant, he's missed 10 plus games for the Memphis Grizzlies so far this year, and Scottie Pippen Jr., he's the guy that gets that starting point guard nod, and he does a great job of holding down the fort whenever Ja Morant is not available. And then they have that depth in the front court as well. When we look at all the valuable bigs on this team, another Defensive Player of the Year award winner in Jaren Jackson Jr., but he's so much more than an elite defender. He's gotten so much better on the offensive side of the ball. Last year was his first year averaging over 20 points per game this season. He's been able to do that again so far this season. He can stretch, and he's very important for what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball because he's so versatile. He can set screens, he can spot up and stretch the floor, he can play down in the post. So Jaren Jackson Jr., he's the best player in their front court. They go out and draft Zach Edey this year. They still have Brandon Clark. You have Santi Aldama, who I love a lot. So there's a lot of valuable players on the Memphis Grizzlies, and they get very deep at a lot of positions. And also, I can't remember if I just said Brandon Clark, but Brandon Clark, he's a part of this front court group as well. They've been getting a lot of minutes, a lot of solid minutes from Jay Huff this season whenever he suited up and got out on the basketball court. So the Memphis Grizzlies, they're a very deep team, and also they got someone that's really good at that wing position now too, the rookie Jalen Wells, who's been really solid at shooting that three-point shot so far this season, and also playing amazing lockdown defense. So they have a great collection of guys. They're able to go deep into their bench. The numbers show it. What we're seeing with their eyes are showing it, but they have one of the deepest teams in all of the NBA. And then also we just look at the versatility of the Memphis Grizzlies, and we kind of been touching on this. All video long. But the Memphis Grizzlies, they have so many different ways that they can beat you. And we just talked about how they're top five, and they're top five in all these crazy statistical categories. They're top 2 in rebounds per game. They're top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating, and they're number 1 in points per game. So the Memphis Grizzlies, they're going into any type of battle, any type of matchup, and they're prepared for whatever type of game is going to be. If it's going to be a low scoring game, if it's going to be a high scoring game, if it's going to be a shootout, if they need to lean on their offense or if they need to lean on their defense for a particular matchup, they're going to be able to do it. We look at all the different ways they can win offensively with John Morant. He has so many ways that he can dominate a basketball game, scoring the basketball, playmaking, setting up his teammates. Same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. We just talked about how they can legit run their offense through him by him playing in that low post. Desmond Bane is another guy that can heat up on the offensive side of the ball. So the Memphis Grizzlies, this is a team that has so many different layers when it comes to how they can beat you and how they win ball games. So, and I think that makes them extremely dangerous. We really haven't seen them open up their rotation as far as playing those starters heavy minutes, and I'm pretty sure at some point in the season it's going to have to start, because we're going to have to see them get geared up for the postseason. But right now things have really been on cruise control for the Memphis Grizzlies, but they've been dominating at an extremely high level, and that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below how you currently feel about the Memphis Grizzlies, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.